know where to go. You do now.
His hands were still warm from the gun when he found me crying in that alley. Rain-soaked, shaking, holding my daughter so tight I thought I might break her. Kang Jiwon stood there in his black coat, blood spattered on his collar, and looked at me like I was a ghost he'd been expecting. 3 men dead in the building behind him. By morning there'd be 6 more. My name is Amara Hayes. I'm 29 years old, and I'm about to tell you how a Korean Mafia boss saved my life and how I became the one thing more dangerous than his enemies. If you're here because you love stories about ruthless men who break their own rules, hit that like button. Subscribe to this channel, and drop in the comments where you're watching from. I want to see how far this story reaches. I wasn't supposed to be in Koreatown that night. My ex had found us. Again. He'd cornered us outside my studio apartment with that look in his eyes, the one that meant hospital visits and lies about falling downstairs. So I ran, grabbed my 3-year-old daughter Sable and ran until my lungs burned and the rain washed away my tears, and I ended up in an alley behind a restaurant I'd never heard of. That's where I said it, the words that would change everything. We have nowhere to go. I wasn't talking to him, didn't even know he was there. I was talking to God, to the universe, to anyone who might be listening. Jiwon stepped out of the shadows, 6'1", ink-black hair slicked back, eyes that had watched men beg for mercy and felt nothing. You do now. 3 words in that deep voice, accent thick and certain. 3 words that should have terrified me. Instead, I looked up at this stranger with blood on his collar and death in his wake, and I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Safe. I don't even know you, I whispered. His jaw tightened. You will. What I didn't know then, what nobody knew, was that Jiwon had been looking for me for 3 weeks. My face was pinned to his office wall, my daily route mapped out in red ink, because 6 months earlier, I'd witnessed something at the corner store where I worked weekends, something his organization needed erased. Kang Jiwon didn't save people, and the woman crying in his alley? She was supposed to disappear that night. Seoul. 15 years earlier, that's where monsters are made. Jiwon was 13 when his father shoved the knife into his hand. 12 men stood in a circle around them in the basement of their family restaurant, the one tourists thought served the best bulgogi in Gangnam. Kill him, or I kill you both. The man tied to the chair was bleeding already, broken nose, swollen eyes. He'd stolen from the Kang family, 50,000 won, barely enough for groceries. Jiwon's hands shook. His mother was upstairs. She didn't know what her husband had built beneath her kitchen. Didn't know their son was about to cross a line he could never uncross. Please, the man begged. I have a daughter. That's what broke him. Not the order, not the knife. The fact that this man's last thought was of his child. Jiwon closed his eyes and did it. The smell of copper filled his lungs. His father's hand landed heavy on his shoulder. Good. Now you're ready. Ready for what? He'd asked. To survive. By 16, he'd killed 7 more. Each one easier than the last. Each one carving away pieces of who he used to be, the boy who'd wanted to be a chef, who'd loved drawing in his notebooks, who'd cried watching sad movies. By 20, his father was dead, stabbed by a rival family in the same basement where Jiwon had become a killer. He didn't cry at the funeral. By 25, Jiwon ran the entire West Coast operation. Los Angeles, his territory, his rules, 43 bodies and counting. He'd learned to wear violence like cologne, to speak in threats that never needed repeating. The smell of gunpowder became his signature. Fear became his language. But even monsters have breaking points. His came on a Tuesday in October, in an alley behind Hana's kitchen, when he found a black woman holding her daughter and crying like the world had ended. Something in her eyes reminded him of that man in the basement, that father who'd begged for mercy while thinking of his child. Jiwon had killed that man anyway. But this woman, he'd save. What he didn't know was that saving her would cost him everything he'd built. His empire, his reputation, his life. And he'd do it anyway. The apartment above his restaurant smelled like ginger and sesame oil. I sat on the edge of his leather couch, Sable asleep in my arms, wondering if I'd made the worst decision of my life. Jiwon stood by the window, phone pressed to his ear, speaking rapid Korean that sounded like gravel and silk. He hung up, turned to face me. Your ex-boyfriend, Marcus Trent. He works for the Volkov brothers. My blood froze. How do you... I know everything. He crossed the room, each step deliberate. I know you work 2 jobs, corner store on 5th, diner on weekends. I know you're 3 months behind on rent. I know your daughter's prescription costs $200 a month and your insurance won't cover it. Tears burned my eyes. Are you threatening me? No. He crouched in front of me, eye level now. This close, I could see the scar cutting through his left eyebrow. Could smell his cologne, cedar, and smoke. I'm telling you I can help. Why? The question hung between us like fog. Jiwon's eyes, dark and endless, searched my face. You saw something 6 months ago, at the store. A transaction between 2 men in the parking lot. My heart stopped. I'd tried to forget that night. The briefcase. The money. The way both men had stared at me through the window like I was already dead. I didn't see anything, I whispered. Yes, you did. His voice was gentle, terrifying. And the Volkov brothers think you can identify them. That's why your ex keeps finding you. They're using him to track you down. Oh, God. The room spun. Breathe. His hand touched my knee. Warm. Steady. I won't let them touch you. You don't even know me. Something flickered across his face. Pain, maybe. Or recognition. I know you're tired. I know you're scared. I know you'd die for that little girl in your arms. He stood, towering over me again. Stay here tonight. Tomorrow we'll figure out the rest. And if I say no, Jiwon's jaw tightened. Then you walk out that door, and by Friday you're both dead. Your choice. It wasn't a choice at all. What I didn't know, what he'd never tell me, was that he'd already killed the men who'd been hunting me. All 3 of them. Before he'd even found me in that alley. Jiwon had decided I was worth saving 3 weeks ago. He just didn't know why yet. 3 days. That's how long I told myself I'd stay. 3 days turned into a week. A week turned into something I couldn't name. Jiwon's apartment was a fortress disguised as a home. 2 floors above his restaurant. Windows bulletproof. Doors triple locked. Men stationed on every corner of the block, pretending to smoke cigarettes and check their phones. I pretended not to notice. He pretended this was normal. Why do you do this? I asked him on day 9. Sable was napping in the bedroom he'd set up for her, complete with toys I knew cost more than my monthly rent. Jiwon looked up from his laptop. Do what? This. The violence. The fear. All of it. He closed the laptop slowly. You want the truth or the answer that helps you sleep at night? Truth. Because I'm good at it. No hesitation. No shame. And because men like me don't get to choose different lives. We get to survive or die. That's it. I should have been scared. Should have grabbed Sable and run. Instead, I moved closer. I don't believe that. Then you're naive. Or maybe you've just forgotten what else you could be. His eyes darkened. Don't. Don't what? Don't try to save me, Amara. My name in his mouth sounded like a prayer. I'm not one of your projects. I'm not trying to save you. Then what are you trying to do? The air between us crackled. Dangerous. Electric. Understand you, I whispered. Jiwon stood so fast his chair scraped the floor. He crossed to the window, jaw clenched, shoulders rigid. You want to understand me? Fine. Yesterday, I broke a man's fingers because he disrespected my sister. Last week, I burned down a warehouse with 4 people inside because they stole from my supplier. This morning, I authorized a hit on a politician who tried to shut down my operations. He turned, eyes blazing. That's who I am. That's who I'll always be. I know. Then why are you still here? Because when he looked at my daughter, his eyes went soft. Because he'd killed for me before even knowing my name. Because underneath all that violence, I saw something he couldn't. A man who was drowning and didn't know how to ask for help. Because you're not the monster you think you are. Have you ever met someone who made you question everything you thought you knew about yourself? Tell me in the comments. And if you're feeling the tension building, drop a like. Subscribe if you want to see how far he'll go to protect her. The panic attack hit him at 3 a.m. I woke to the sound of breaking glass. Rushed out of my room to find Jiwon standing in his kitchen, hand bleeding, surrounded by shattered whiskey bottles. Get back inside. His voice was raw, shaking. You're hurt. I said get back. No. The word hung between us. Jiwon stared at me like I'd slapped him. No one told him no. No one ever told him no. I walked forward, slow, like approaching a wounded animal. Let me see your hand. Amara, let me see it. He held it out. Palm up. Vulnerable in a way I'd never seen him. Glass embedded in his skin. Blood dripping onto pristine white tile. I led him to the sink. Turned on the water. Started picking out glass pieces with tweezers from the first aid kit. Want to tell me what happened? I asked softly. No. Nightmares? His jaw twitched. Answer enough. What do you see? I pressed. Faces. The word came out broken. Every single one. They don't stop. 43 men. 43 faces haunting him while he slept. I cleaned the last piece of glass. Wrapped his hand in gauze. Neither of us moved. My father used to say, Jiwon's voice was barely a whisper, that the day you stop seeing their faces is the day you become the monster. So I see them. Every night. Every single one. I touched the scar on his jaw, the thin white line that cut through his stubble. Where'd you get this? One. He flinched. Actually flinched. My first kill. He fought back. His ring caught me. How old were you? 13. My heart cracked. 13. A baby. A child who should have been worrying about homework and video games, not blood and survival. I'm sorry, I whispered. Don't. His hand caught my wrist. Gentle. Desperate. Don't pity me. I don't pity you, Jiwon. I see you. Something in him broke. I watched it happen. Watched his walls crumble just for a second. He pulled away. You should go back to bed. Come with me. Amara. Not like that, just, you shouldn't be alone right now. What he didn't know was that I'd been awake when the nightmare started. Had heard him screaming in Korean. Had listened to him destroy his kitchen because the dead wouldn't leave him alone. What I didn't know was that I'd just become his biggest weakness. And his enemies were already watching. You lied to me. Jiwon's voice was ice. He stood in the doorway of my room holding a manila folder, his face carved from stone. My stomach dropped. About what? Marcus Trent isn't your ex-boyfriend. He threw the folder on the bed. Photos spilled out. Me and Marcus. Together. Laughing. He's your husband. The air left my lungs. I corrected, was my husband. You're still married, Amara. Legally. Which means everything you told me is true. I stood, hands shaking. Yes, we're technically still married because I can't afford a divorce lawyer, but he's not my husband. Not in any way that matters. Jiwon's eyes were black fire. What else are you lying about? Nothing. The Volkov brothers. You said you witnessed a transaction. My throat closed. You didn't just witness it. He moved closer, predator circling prey. You recorded it. On your phone. And then you tried to sell the footage to the FBI. Oh God. How did you? I own half the FBI in this city. His laugh was bitter. Did you really think I wouldn't find out? Tears burned. I was desperate. Sable needed medicine I couldn't afford, and Marcus had drained our accounts, and I thought, you thought you could play both sides. I thought I could get enough money to disappear. By selling information about the most dangerous crime family on the West Coast? He was in my face now. Do you have any idea what they'd do to you if they knew? The same thing you're going to do? The words came out broken. Kill me? Jiwon froze. The silence stretched. Suffocating. Is that what you think? His voice cracked. That I brought you here to kill you? I don't know what to think anymore. I brought you here to protect you, you stubborn. He turned away, dragged a hand through his hair. The footage. Where is it? Cloud storage. Password protected. Give me the password. Why? Because I'm going to delete it before it gets you killed. I stepped closer. And if I don't? Jiwon looked at me then. Really looked at me. Then I'll do it anyway. Because apparently, I've lost my mind over a woman who's been lying to me since day one. I never lied about the important things. What important things? That I'm scared. That I'm running. That you make me feel safe. My voice dropped. That I'm falling for you and I know I shouldn't. His breath caught. Amara. The password is Sable's birthday, but the real secret, the one that would tear us apart, was still buried, and it was about to surface. His brother found out on a Wednesday. Kang Minho walked into Jiwon's office unannounced, which meant bad news. He had their father's eyes cold and calculating and a smile that never reached them. Heard an interesting rumor, Minho said, sitting without invitation. About a black woman and her daughter, living in your apartment. Jiwon's hand stilled on his whiskey glass. Your point? My point is you're being reckless. The Volkov brothers are asking questions. They know she witnessed their transaction. And now they know she's under your protection. Then they know to back off. Do they? Minho leaned forward. Or do they see weakness? A man who's so pussy-whipped he's willing to start a war over some woman. The temperature in the room dropped. Choose your next words carefully. Jiwon said quietly. I'm not the enemy here, brother, but the family is talking. They're saying you've gone soft, that you're choosing her over the organization. I'm choosing not to let innocent people die. Since when? Minho's laugh was sharp. You've never cared before. Why her? Why now? Because when I look at her daughter, I see the man I killed at 13. Because she looks at me like I'm human. Because for the first time in 15 years, I'm sleeping through the night. That's my business. No, Minho stood. It's family business. And the family wants her gone. Not happening. Then you're choosing her over us. If that's what it takes. Minho's expression shifted. Dangerous. You'd burn everything Father built? For her? Father built this empire on fear and blood. Maybe it's time for something different. Different got Father killed. Father got Father killed. Jiwon stood, towering over his brother. He forgot that loyalty runs both ways. He forgot that respect isn't the same as terror. I won't make that mistake. You already have. The door burst open. 3 men entered, guns drawn. Not pointed yet, but the threat was clear. I'm sorry, Minho said. Didn't sound sorry at all. The council voted. Either she goes, or you do. Jiwon's phone buzzed. Text from his head of security. They're at your apartment. Now. His blood turned to ice. You didn't. Minho smiled. Last chance, brother. The girl or the empire. Choose. Jiwon was already running. Behind him, Minho picked up the desk phone. It's done. Send the cleanup crew. Because Minho had his own plans. And they didn't include his brother surviving the night. I heard them before I saw them. Heavy footsteps on the stairs. Sable was in the bedroom. I was in the kitchen making lunch. The front door exploded inward. 4 men, suits, guns. Amara Hayes, come with us. I backed toward the bedroom. No, not a request. The lead man raised his gun, pointed it at the bedroom door. At my baby. No, I rushed forward. He backhanded me. I tasted blood, hit the floor hard. Through the ringing in my ears, I heard Sable scream. Then I heard gunshots. The window shattered. The lead man dropped, hole in his forehead. The others turned, confused, and that's when Jiwon came through the door like vengeance itself. What happened next was brutal, precise, terrifying. He moved like violence was choreography he'd perfected over years. Gun in one hand, knife in the other, each movement efficient, final. The second man went down, throat slashed. The third tried to run. Jiwon shot him in the back. The fourth surrendered, dropped his gun, raised his hands. Please. Jiwon didn't hesitate. Pulled the trigger. Silence, deafening in its completeness. Then he turned to me. Blood spattered across his face, eyes wild. Are you hurt? I couldn't speak, could only stare at the bodies, at the man I'd thought I knew. Amara. He crouched in front of me, hands cupping my face. Baby, are you hurt? You killed them. Yes. All of them. Yes. You didn't even hesitate. His jaw clenched. They pointed a gun at your daughter. I'd kill 1,000 men without hesitation. Sable ran out of the bedroom. I caught her, held her tight, covered her eyes. We need to leave, Jiwon said. Now. More are coming. Where will we go? Anywhere. Everywhere. I have safe houses across the country. And then what? We run forever? If that's what it takes. I looked at this man, this killer covered in blood and offering me the world. You're giving up everything, I whispered. Your family, your empire, everything. No. He touched my face so gently it broke me. I'm finally choosing the right thing. This is where everything changes. If you're not subscribed yet, do it now. You won't want to miss what happens next. And drop a comment. Is he doing too much or not enough? Team redemption or team once a killer, always a killer? That's when my phone rang. Marcus. And everything I thought I knew shattered. Answer it, Jiwon said. My hand shook as I pressed the phone to my ear. Marcus? Hey, baby. His voice was too casual, too calm. Heard you've been busy. What do you want? What I've always wanted. You, Sable, our family back together. We're not a family. No? He laughed. Then why am I looking at the adoption papers you signed 3 years ago? The ones that say I'm Sable's legal father? My blood froze. That's right. You didn't think that through, did you? You wanted her to have health insurance so bad you put my name on her birth certificate, which means if anything happens to you, He let the sentence hang. Jiwon's expression was murder. Marcus, don't. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to walk away from your Korean boyfriend. You're going to come home, and you're going to forget all this happened. And if I don't, then I go to family court, claim you're an unfit mother, shacked up with a criminal, exposing my daughter to violence. I'll win, Amara. You know I'll win. Tears streamed down my face. You don't even want her. You never wanted her. I want you to hurt. And taking her, that'll destroy you. The call ended. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think. The room spun. He can't take her, I choked out. Jiwon, he can't. He won't. His voice was steel. I promise you. You can't promise that. He's her legal father. The courts will side with him. I'm nobody. I have nothing. You have me. That's not enough. The words hit him like bullets. I watched them land, watched something in him crack. Then what do you want me to do? His voice broke. Tell me what you need and I'll do it. I need you to let us go. Silence. Absolute. Devastating. No, Jiwon. I said no. He gripped my shoulders. I've let people go my whole life. Let them walk away or buried them. I'm not doing it again. Not with you. You're being selfish. Yes. No shame. No apology. I am. Because I finally found something worth being selfish about. My phone buzzed. Text from a blocked number. Photo attached. I opened it. Marcus, standing outside a courthouse. Next to him, Minho. They'd been working together from the start, and I'd led them straight to Jiwon. It was a setup. I stared at the photo. Marcus and Minho shaking hands. Dated 3 months ago. Before the alley. Before any of this. They've been planning this, Jiwon said quietly. My brother wanted me out. Marcus wanted you back. The Volkovs wanted their witness eliminated. I'm so sorry. For what? For bringing this to your door. For being stupid enough to... Stop. He took the phone from my shaking hands. This isn't your fault. They're going to kill you because of me. They're going to try. The coldness in his voice sent chills down my spine. This was the man from the basement. The killer who'd racked up 43 bodies. The monster who'd learned violence at 13. What are you going to do? I whispered. What I should have done weeks ago. He made 3 calls, each one in Korean, each one ending with the same word that sounded like a death sentence. Then he turned to me. Pack a bag. 1 bag. Everything you need for you and Sable. Where are we going? Away from here. I have people who owe me favors. They'll keep you safe. What about you? His smile didn't reach his eyes. I have business to finish. No. I grabbed his arm. No, you're coming with us. I can't. Yes, you can. We run. All 3 of us. We disappear. And spend the rest of our lives looking over our shoulders? He cupped my face. That's not living, Amara. That's just a longer death. I don't care. I do. His thumb traced my cheekbone. You deserve better than running. Sable deserves better, so I'm going to give it to you. By getting yourself killed? By ending this. The door burst open. Not enemies. His men. 6 of them. Loyal. Armed. The cars are ready, sir, one said. Jiwon looked at me. Trust me. One more time. Trust me. I wanted to say no. Wanted to grab Sable and run and never look back. But I'd learned something about Jiwon in these weeks. He kept his promises. Every single one. Okay. He kissed my forehead. Soft. Tender. Nothing like the violence I knew was coming. I love you, he whispered. I need you to know that. Whatever happens next, you need to know. Jiwon, take care of our girl. Our girl. He left before I could respond. What he didn't tell me was that he'd already signed over every asset he owned. Put it all in a trust. For Sable. Because Jiwon didn't plan on surviving the night. The warehouse on Terminal Island. That's where it ended. Minho was waiting, Marcus beside him, and 20 men with guns. Jiwon walked in alone, hands in his pockets, no weapon visible. Brother, Minho called out. Glad you could make it. Let's get this over with. Where's the woman? Safe. Somewhere you'll never find her. Marcus stepped forward. That wasn't the deal. The deal, Jiwon said slowly, was that I'd come here. I'm here. We want the girl too. She's not part of this. She became part of this when she recorded us, a new voice said. Vladimir Volkov stepped out of the shadows. When she tried to sell me to the FBI. 3 crime families. united against one man. You can't win this, Minho said. Even you aren't that good. Jiwon smiled. You're right. I can't. He pulled out his phone. Pressed send. Across the city, every major news station received a file. The Volkov transaction. Minho's dealings with corrupt politicians. Marcus's connection to human trafficking. Everything. Documented. Time-stamped. Sent to every law enforcement agency on the West Coast. What did you do? Minho's face went white. I burned it down. All of it. Your empire. Their empire. Mine. You're insane. No, I'm free. The siren started. Distant, but growing closer. You'll go down with us, Vladimir snarled. I know. Jiwon looked at his brother. But she won't. Amara's testimony puts her on the right side. Witness protection. New identity. Clean slate. Everything I couldn't give her while I was alive. You sacrificed everything, Minho whispered. For what? Some woman you've known for weeks? For love. The word sounded foreign in Jiwon's mouth. Something you'd never understand. Gunshots. But not from inside. Outside. Jiwon's men, the loyal ones, had surrounded the building. The doors burst open. FBI, LAPD, ATF. In the chaos, Jiwon ran. Not away. Toward the one exit he'd mapped weeks ago. He made it 3 blocks before the bullet hit. Fell to his knees in an alley that smelled like rain and regret. His phone rang. Amara. Hello, beautiful, he whispered. They're saying you're dead. Tell me they're lying. I'm sorry. No. No, Jiwon, no. Take care of our girl. Be happy. That's all I ever wanted. I love you. I know. The phone slipped from his hand. 44 bodies. The last one would be his own. Except it wasn't. I found him 3 days later. The hospital wouldn't tell me which room. Patient confidentiality. But I'd learned a few things about breaking rules from loving a criminal. Room 447. ICU. 2 cops outside the door. I'm family, I lied. They didn't believe me. But then a doctor emerged. Dr. Sarah Chen, according to her badge, and nodded me through. 5 minutes. Jiwon looked small in that bed. Tubes everywhere. Bandages covering his chest. But alive. Breathing. You're supposed to be in witness protection, he croaked. I'm not good at following orders. Amara. Shut up. You don't get to sacrifice yourself and then tell me what to do. His laugh turned into a cough. Fair. I sat beside him. Took his hand. They're offering you a deal. Testify against everyone. In exchange, you walk. I don't walk. I disappear. Witness protection means new identity, new life, new everything. I squeezed his hand. I know. You deserve better than that. I deserve you. Silence. Heavy with everything unsaid. I've killed 43 people, he whispered. I've done terrible things. Things you don't even know about. I know. So why? Because you chose me. Because when it mattered, when you had to pick between power and love, you chose love. That's not the action of a monster. It's not enough to erase what I've done. No, but it's a start. He looked at me, really looked at me. What are you saying? I'm saying we take the deal. Both of us. We disappear together. You, me, and Sable. We find some small town where nobody knows our names. We start over. You'd give up everything? I had nothing to give up. But you gave up an empire. The least I can do is give up a life I never wanted. Tears slipped down his face. The first I'd ever seen him cry. I don't deserve you. Probably not. But you're stuck with me anyway. Outside, the news played on silent screens. Minho arrested. Marcus charged with trafficking. The Volkovs fleeing the country. He built an empire on fear. But she ruled him with a whisper. And that made him more powerful than he'd ever been. What do we do now? Jiwon asked. We heal. Then we disappear. Then we live. Just like that. Just like that. But nothing is ever just like that. And the knock on the door proved it. The woman who entered wore an FBI jacket and carried a file folder. Mr. Kang, Miss Hayes. She pulled up a chair. I'm Special Agent Torres. We need to talk about your daughter. My heart stopped. What about her? Sable's biological father. It's not Marcus Trent. The world tilted. What? Agent Torres opened the file. DNA results. We ran tests as part of the custody investigation. Marcus Trent has no biological relation to Sable, which means his parental rights claim is void. I couldn't breathe, but I was with him when she was conceived. There was no one else. Actually, the agent's expression softened. There was. 4 years ago. Seoul General Hospital. You were there for a medical conference, working as a nursing assistant. Seoul, I'd forgotten about that trip. 3 days, a lifetime ago. You met someone at a bar. One night. You never got his full name. Oh God. I turned to Jiwon slowly. His face had gone pale. Check the dates, Agent Torres said quietly. November 15th, 4 years ago. November 15th. The night before I flew back to the States. The night I'd met a beautiful stranger who spoke broken English and made me laugh for the first time in months. The night I'd felt safe with someone I'd never see again. Jiwon, I whispered. His hands were shaking. The bar near the hospital. You were wearing a blue dress. You ordered whiskey neat and said it reminded you of your grandfather. Tears blurred my vision. You told me about wanting to be a chef, about your mother's restaurant. I never forgot you. His voice cracked. When my men showed me your file, your photo, I thought I was seeing a ghost. But I didn't know about Sable. I swear I didn't know. Agent Torres stood. This changes things. Legally, you're her father, Mr. Kang, which means witness protection becomes more complicated, but not impossible. She left us alone. Jiwon stared at me. Through me. I have a daughter. Yes. We have a daughter. Yes. I saved you in that alley not knowing that you were saving your own family. He started crying. Real, broken sobs that shook his entire body. I could have killed you both when I was sent to eliminate the witness before I saw your face, but you didn't, because something in me knew. Some part of me recognized you. I climbed into that hospital bed, careful of his wounds. Let him hold me while he shattered and healed simultaneously. What now? He whispered against my hair. Now we go home, to Sable, and you meet your daughter. Really meet her. I don't know how to be a father. Neither do most fathers. You'll learn. 3 months later, we disappeared. New names. Small town in Montana. Jiwon opened a restaurant, his mother's recipes finally put to use. I worked at the local clinic. Sable started preschool. Some nights, I catch him staring at her while she sleeps, tears on his face, wondering what he did to deserve this second chance. You chose love, I remind him. That's what you did. The past doesn't disappear. The nightmares still come. But now when Jiwon wakes up screaming, there are 2 people to hold him, to remind him he's more than his worst moments. He's a father, a partner, a man learning that redemption isn't a destination, it's a daily choice. And every day, he chooses us. Thank you for being here. Your presence means everything to me. If this story hit you the way I hoped it would, subscribe to this channel. I've got more about dangerous men who fell harder than they ever thought possible. Drop a comment telling me, which mob boss should I cover next? Your story suggestions fuel everything I create here.